Welcome, crew, guys, gals, ghouls, friends, fiends, foes, whoever may be listening beyond the Omniverse tonight. Secure your tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a rocky mountain high, get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners, and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in colorful Colorado. It is December 17th, Monday, December 18th for those of you across the pond and beyond. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, and welcome to We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. I'm your host, TessaTNT, and we are broadcasting live from the Mile High Clubhouse tonight. So glad you could join us from wherever you may be listening beyond the Omniverse. If you're listening to us live right now, you may be listening to us at Spreaker.com under We Are Paradox Media. You may also be listening to us on KPNL Radio, which you can find at KPNL Radio at kpnl-db.com. You can also find us live on eTalk Radio, which you can find at etalk.tv/radio. If you like to listen to us in your free time, whether you're working in or working out, make sure you tune in to us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Turn down this mic a little bit. It's a little hot. The mic is. Let's go for 70. How's that? Oh, shnikes. I just turned it up all the way. Sorry to your listening ears there if you were tuned in for that. But yeah, so tonight I have a treat for all my guys and gals out there. Tonight it's story time with me, TessaTNT. Also, I have some good news. We received a phone call today from Toys from Tots, so I had to run into town and grab a bunch of toys for our tots, and I'm so grateful for their organization for helping us out this Christmas. Times are hard. Hopefully, others of you that are out there that have little ones got some help. There's different programs that exist, and there's more and more programs going on all the time. So make sure you call your local Salvation Army or Toys for Tots or whoever you can to help you out. Hopefully there's some last minute references for you out there that can help. All right, so we've been reading from The World's Most Evil Psychopaths, Horrifying True-Life Cases. It's been a pretty good book, I must say. Oh yeah, and if you guys missed last night's show, that was pretty epic. Had a really good show with Psychic Chris Garcia last night. He is amazing. Continually, never fails. He just blows me away. He's just really, really good at what he does. So our next psychopath is Mr. Carl Panzram. As the moment of his execution approached, when serial killer Carl Panzram was asked whether he had any last words, he is reported to have turned to his executioner and said, "Hurry it up, you Hoosier bastard. You Hoosier bastard. I could kill 10 men while you're fooling around." It was probably not much of an exaggeration. Much of what we know about Panzram comes from his autobiography, published 40 years after his death. It is a well-written and articulate account of his life. Not at all what one would expect from someone with limited formal education. The man who would come to murder dozens was born to a Prussian immigrant couple on 28 June 1891 on a Minnesota farm near the Canadian border. 6 siblings were raised in poverty, a situation made worse when his father deserted the family. This shameful act took place when Carl Panzram was 7 years old. A year later, the boy was arrested for the very adult crime of being drunk and disorderly. Holy shnikes. At 8 years old? That's insane. He was soon committing burglary, and at the age of 11 was sent to the Minnesota State Training School, a reform institution. Panzram's claims made late in life that he was beaten and sexually abused are probably true. He also committed his first murder there. The victim, being a 12-year-old boy, has not been verified. In July 1905, he burnt one of the school's buildings to the ground. Evidently, he wasn't a suspect in the destruction, as he was just a few months later. He enrolled in another school, but was soon in conflict with one of the teachers. The dispute was elevated to such a point that Panzram brought a handgun to class, intending to murder the instructor in front of his fellow students. The scheme collapsed when the gun fell to the floor during a struggle. He left the school and the family farm and started riding the rails. Any feeling of freedom the 14-year-old might have felt in his early transient lifestyle probably came to an end when he was gang raped by 4 men. For the rest of his 39 years, Panzram was enraged by the pain and humiliation he had suffered through the incident. As part of some warped idea of revenge, he went on to forcibly sodomize more than 1,000 boys and men. Jeez. Mere months after having left the Minnesota State Training School, Panzram was again in reform school, again for having committed burglary. He soon escaped with another inmate named Jimmy Benson. They remained together for a time, moving around the American Midwest, causing havoc, burglaring houses, and stealing from churches before setting them on fire. After they split up, Panzram joined the United States Army. It was a strange choice of profession, one for which he was ill-suited. During his brief stint in the service, he was charged with insubordination, jailed numerous times for petty offenses, and ultimately was found guilty on 3 counts of larceny. Panzram received a dishonorable discharge and on 20 April 1908 was sentenced to 3 years of hard labor at the United States Disciplinary Barracks at Fort Leavenworth in Kansas. In prison, the 16-year-old Panzram was beaten and chained to a 50-pound metal ball, which he was made to carry. He dreamed of escape but found it impossible. It was only after serving his 3-year sentence that he finally got out. Panzram returned to his old transient lifestyle, moving through Kansas, Texas, California, Oregon, Washington, Utah, and Idaho. He committed burglary, arson, robbery, and rape. In his autobiography, Panzram writes that he spent all his square change on bullets and for fun would take shots at farmers' windows and livestock. So here's a picture of this crazy dude. Look at him. He kind of reminds me of Van Gogh, but not quite. So here's a picture of prisoners at Fort Leavenworth Penitentiary that marched towards the mess hall for dinner. Panzram did 3 years hard labor here, during which time he was chained to a 50-pound metal ball and frequently beaten. And then here's another picture that says Panzram fenced goods in the Lower East Side in the shadow of Brooklyn Bridge and bought himself a yacht on the proceeds, and he started sailing the East River and breaking into the yachts of the wealthy. So here's a picture of the penitentiary. And then there's the Brooklyn Bridge. Another story involves a railway policeman whom Panzram raped at gunpoint. He forced 2 hobos to witness the act and then recreate it themselves. Hey Adrian, good to see ya. He was arrested many times and served a number of sentences under a variety of assumed names. After his second incarceration and escape from Oregon State Prison, Panzram made his way to the East Coast, ending up in New Haven, Connecticut in the summer of 1920. Panzram burgled the home of former United States President William H. Taft, the man who had once signed the paper sentencing him to 3 years in prison at Fort Leavenworth. Aho! Good to see you, my friend! The haul from the Taft mansion far exceeded previous burglaries. After fencing the goods in Manhattan's Lower East Side, Panzram bought a yacht. He then sailed the East River, breaking into the yachts of the wealthy moored along his route. He took to hiring unemployed sailors as deckhands. In the evenings, he would drug his crew, sodomize them, shoot each in the head with a pistol stolen from the Taft house, and throw bodies overboard. After about 3 weeks, Panzram's routine came to an end when his yacht was caught in an August gale and sank. Ain't karma a bitch? Let's see who else is here. Who else is watching? Hello, It was nice to meet you last night and hang out with you for a little bit. I hope you're doing well. Following a 6-month sentence for burglary and possession of a loaded gun, Panzram stowed away on a ship bound for Angola. While in the employ of the Sinclair Oil Company, he sodomized and murdered a young boy. He later hired 6 locals to act as guides and assist in a crocodile hunting expedition. Once downriver with crocodiles in sight, caught all 6 and fed the men to the beasts. After traveling along the Congo River and robbing farmers on the Gold Coast, he made his way back across the Atlantic. Hey TessaTNT, good to see you too. Merry Christmas, everybody. Have you missed it? I got to go pick up a bag of goodies for the kids today from Toys for Tots. So that was a blessing indeed. Following his return to the United States, Panzram continued where he left off, committing robbery, burglary, and sodomy. These routine crimes were punctuated by the murders of 3 boys. Each was raped before being killed. Merry Christmas, TessaTNT, and Art, and Adrian. On 26 August 1923, Panzram broke into the Larchmont, New York train depot and was going through the stored baggage when he was confronted by a policeman. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison, most of which were served at Clinton Prison in upstate New York. True to character, Panzram made no attempt to become a model prisoner. During his first months at Clinton, he tried to firebomb the workshops, clipped one of the guards on the back of the head, and, of course, attempted to escape. This final act had consequences with which he would struggle for the rest of his life. You avoid me, Adrian. Bad stuff, that S-word. They said he did it to over 1,000 men and boys. Like, what? But he started really early, it seems, so I don't know. Excuse me. The incident began when Panzram failed his attempt to climb a prison wall. He fell nearly 10 meters, landing on a concrete step. Ugh, that would hurt. Adrian says, cool Toys for Tots. Might have to take some presents away from some kids this year because I am the Grinch. Don't do it, Adrian. Choose the right. Man, I got a frog in my throat. Holy schneck. Sorry about that. Whew. It was all itchy. Though his ankles and legs were broken and his spine severely injured, he received no medical attention for 14 months. Thanks, Art. I appreciate it. Could you imagine having broken limbs and not having any attention for 14 months? I understand he's a prisoner, but those guys still have rights, you know? Even though Panzram was bad. Going back to Karma's a bitch. The months of agony Panzram endured intensified his hatred, and he began to draw up elaborate plans to kill on a mass scale. One scheme involved blowing up a railway tunnel, then releasing poison gas into the area of the wreck. When he was finally released from Clinton in July 1928, Panzram emerged a crippled man. However, his diminished capacity did nothing to prevent his return to crime. During the first 2 weeks of freedom, he averaged approximately 1 burglary each day. More seriously, on 26 July 1928, he strangled a man during a robbery in Philadelphia. By August, Panzram was again in custody. Perhaps realizing that he would never again leave prison, he confessed to 22 murders, including those of 2 of the 3 boys in the summer of 1923. Yeah, that would be totally painful, man. Like, I remember when I broke my foot off, and it was the craziest thing. Like, I was filling out paperwork because the kids were about to, leave from summer and go back to school, and was walking through the house, and my son was just a little tot at the time, probably like 2 years old or something. I'm so glad he was walking in front of me. But I was like, watch out for that rake, son, because he had one of those little plastic, kid rakes on the floor. And of course, I'm wearing a pair of dollar store freaking flip-flops, and I actually slip on it. And when my foot went to the side really fast, it like broke my foot off. And I thought maybe it got dislocated or something. But no, it was like hanging from the back of my leg. And I sat there and held it up for like over an hour on the floor, waiting for my husband to get home. I was like, just call the fire department or the ambulance or whatever and have them come over and see if it's dislocated. And I swear to God, this lady the EMT that was on the ambulance comes over and grabs my leg and shakes it around. And she's like, it's definitely broken. And she's lucky I didn't, kick or punch her. What's up?
So, I've been sitting for like an hour and 3 minutes, and the computer is like still loading.
It's very slow. You gotta let it warm up for a while. Did you make sure the Wi-Fi was on? Okay, make sure the Wi-Fi is on. Otherwise, the YouTube's not gonna work. Okay, when I get out here on break, can you tell your brother that I asked that he help really quick?
I'm not doing YouTube video that.
Okay, that's fine. So is it working? Is it trying to load up or? Oh, well, go out there and nicely tell Floyd that Mom said please help me out really quick to make sure it's hooked up to the Wi-Fi and stuff, okay? Alright, love you.
Love you too.
That was Lily. Yeah, she shook the leg and she's like, yep, it's definitely broken. And then they put like this air cast on there to keep it in one spot. And then, it's weird. Like, I only remember like parts of it. Probably because like once they put me in the ambulance, like they doped me up with fentanyl, which was nice. And then once I got to the hospital, I just like, hopped over to the next bed from the stretcher, and they're like, man, you're doing pretty good with that. I have a really high pain tolerance. Like, I haven't used drugs with any of my them or anything. But yeah, that fentanyl sure did take the edge off of that. Jeez, OP. Yeah, now I have a bionic ankle, and they actually used cadaver putty to put one of the bones back together. So I have screws, pins, rods, a tight rope, and some cadaver putty in there. Deed up on the fit. Crazy, yeah. They did. They gave me some in the ambulance, and they gave me some once I got to the hospital. It's bad stuff. Like, it's crazy, like, how just a small little particle of that can cause you severe issues, if not kill you. Even just touching it, not even ingesting it. It's insane. We can thank Gina for that. Thank you, Gina. Anyways, yeah, that was my crazy broken leg story. So I can't imagine going for like 14 months. Oh, yeah, and then like when I got back home, coming into the house, we had 2 wiener dogs at the time, and I'm like coming in on crutches, and there was something on the sidewalk, and the dogs are just running around me, and one of my crutches slipped on the mud, and of course I used my broken foot to try to catch myself, and I think it broke it even more before they could do the surgery and stuff. But it was pretty bad. Kind of feel bad for Panzram, but at the same time, karma's a bitch. Sorry, buddy. Maybe you shouldn't have been doing all these bad things you've been doing. So let's see. So on 12th November, he went on trial for burglary and housebreaking. Acting in his own defense, he used the courtroom as a stage from which to scare the jury and threaten witnesses. By the end of the day, he had been found guilty on all counts and was sentenced to a total of 25 years in prison. Can't say he doped up on Facebook or the word fentanyl, Facebook brats. Really? Have you gotten blocked for that stuff? Like, I'm surprised, like, my videos stay up and stuff because of all these R words and M words and everything. Rape, moida, sodomy, whatever. Like, all this stuff that I'm reading, but this is for educational purposes, boys and girls. Alright, wait. On 1 February 1929, he arrived at the United States Penitentiary at Leavenworth, Kansas. It was an area of the country he knew well. 20 years earlier, he had served time at the nearby military prison. Standing before his new warden on the first day, Panzram warned, "I'll kill the first man that bothers me." True to his word, on 20 June 1929, Panzram took an iron bar and brought it down with force on the head of Robert Warnke, his supervisor in the prison laundry. When the other prisoners attempted to escape, Panzram began chasing them around the room, breaking bones. Ooh. Yes, back to the story. Let's go. This guy is vicious, man. He was tried for Warnke's murder on 14 April 19... Again, he undertook his own defense, smugly challenging the prosecutor to find him guilty. It wasn't a difficult challenge when the judge sentenced Panzram to hang. He was threatened by the condemned man. So my dad actually did that in court. He was his own attorney in the case where at Front Row Seat, I don't know if you remember when Front Row existed in Cortez, Adrian, but he went back to the adult room and was looking at movies, and my dad's crack would always be hanging out. Thanks, it's my elf hat. I like it too. But yeah, they arrested him because they said he was pleasuring himself in the adult room, which he wasn't. He was just bending over looking at movies. And of course his crack's out, which it always did. He always had a plumber's crack because he didn't have no booty. And yeah, he ended up getting all those charges dismissed. And he even had witnesses come up and say, "Yep, he's got a plumber's ass." Oh, you did? Shit, man. Maybe you met my dad in there. No, I'm just kidding. He also used to say, "If you still at church and the steeple's sticking out your ass, I deny. I sure do miss him. He was a really awesome guy. So on 5 September 1930, Panzram was hanged. Many organizations had worked to prevent the execution, but much to Panzram's annoyance. 9 months before his death, he wrote to one such organization, the Society for the Abolishment of Capital Punishment. "The only thanks you and your kind will ever get from me for your efforts on my behalf is that I wish you all had one neck and that I had my hands." Well, isn't he just the nicest little feller? The Lust Killers. In the 1960s, a new term, killers, was coined to cover what appeared to be a series of psychopathic sexual predators. One of these men mutilated sexual organs, performed acts of necrophilia, and positioned the bodies of their victims in sexually suggestive poses, while others committed none of these crimes at all. However, all the lust killers had one thing in common: the attainment of sexual gratification through moida. Harvey Glattman. Good times, yeah. You're so funny. As a child, Harvey Glattman was taunted in the schoolyard. His large ears and teeth earned him nicknames like Weasel and Chipmunk. As he grew older, his looks did not improve. His only recorded date was with a beautiful woman whom he killed. Born in New York in 1927, Glattman was a peculiar child. This observation, first made when he was just a baby, was shared with his parents, or by his parents. Alternately giggling or crying, his emotional reactions seemed to have no connection to his environment. He appeared to display no interest in his toys or anything else for that matter. In private, however, he was cultivating an obsession with things sexual, particularly acts involving sadomasochistic behavior. Decades later, on the witness stand, Glattman's mother would trace her son's fascination back to the age of 4, when she had caught him pulling a piece of string he had tied on his penis. Good thing, huh? That'd be embarrassing if they did, right, Adrian? So in school, Glattman proved to be studious, preferring the classroom to the playground, where he would be obliged to interact with other children. He was frightened of girls his age, who often joined the boys in making fun of his looks. The schoolyard taunts began afresh in a different location after the family left the Bronx for a new life in Denver, Colorado. Why do all the weirdos come here? Like, stay away. At a very early age, he discovered autoerotic asphyxia and would use ropes and self-induced strangulation while masturbating. When Glatman was 11 years old, his parents discovered their son's pastime and sought the advice of a medical doctor. The result was that he took greater caution not to be caught in the future. Yeah. As he entered his teen years, he developed a bad case of acne, which only contributed to his isolation from which others had in his age group. So, there he is. Look at that little devil there. He's a little devil. In public, an accomplished student, he began to secretly break into private homes. Glatman's motivation was not material, but the thrill derived from a risky act. Usually, but not always, he would steal a souvenir with which to remember his adventure. A stolen handgun was among his most prized possessions. Eventually, the break-ins evolved into a more dangerous and violent act. Glatman took to prowling the streets looking for attractive women. Once an appealing subject had been spotted, she would be followed home. Later that evening, Glatman would return, break into the house, tie up his victim, and gag her mouth. He would then fondle the women, often through their clothes. They would never be fully undressed. My bad. Well, at least, you put an extra X in there, so maybe those hoodlums won't get you. The nightly activities. So Glatman's parents, believing an improbable story that their son had joined in extracurricular activities with schoolmates, were not suspicious of his nightly absences. On 18 May 1945, carrying a handgun and some rope, he was caught by police while attempting to break into a woman's apartment. Taken into custody, he confessed to several burglaries, none of which involved bondage and molestation. While awaiting trial for burglary, he committed a much more serious crime in abducting an attractive woman named Laurel. After tying her up, he drove 50 kilometers Sunshine Canyon, where she was fondled. Later, he drove his captive back to Denver, where she was released. Laurel went directly to the police and identified her abductor from a picture in a book of mugshots. Glatman was again arrested. That November, he was sentenced to 1 year in Colorado State Prison. I'm sure after that, after letting her go and then her going and, finding his mugshot and turning him in, is when he turned to Moida. Because that way they can't tell on him anymore, right? So sad. Alright, let's see. Just 1 year's peak. The model student also seemed to be a model inmate. 8 months into the sentence, he was paroled, accompanied by his mother, who was well aware of her son's reputation in Colorado. Glatman relocated to Yonkers, New York. He obtained a job as a television repairman, a trade he had learned while incarcerated. Glatman waited until his mother left before resuming the lifestyle that had begun and caused so much trouble. Well aware of that, for a parolee, possession of a handgun could lead to an extremely long prison sentence. He purchased a realistic-looking cap gun. On 17 August, a mere 3 weeks after leaving the Colorado State Prison, Glatman pulled the cap gun on a young couple. The incident departed from that of a typical mugging when he produced a rope and bound the legs of the male. Pressing the cap gun against her stomach, Glatman was fondling the female's breastises. When her boyfriend managed to escape his bonds, he grabbed the assailant from behind, but was stabbed in the shoulder. Glatman escaped and was soon on the move to Albany. 5 days later, he'd assaulted an off-duty nurse, but she started to fight back. As he was tying her wrists, again, Glatman ran away. He then mugged 2 young women. Within days, Glatman was caught. In October, having received a 5 to 10 year sentence, he was living at New York's Elmira Reformatory. Upon reaching the age of 21, he was transferred to the Sing Sing Correctional Facility, but not before having been diagnosed as having a psychopathic personality. Again, Glatman proved to be an exemplary inmate, so much so that he was granted parole after having served just over half of his 5-year minimum sentence. Obliged to stay in his parents' custody, he returned to Denver, where he began the first of what would be a long series of jobs. In September 1956, Glatman was released from parole. No longer required to live in Denver, he drove around the westernmost states. After 4 months, he settled in Los Angeles. Glatman set himself up as a television repairman and returned to photography, a hobby he'd had as a teenager. In the evenings, he took advantage of local modeling agencies, which offered girls and women willing to pose semi-nude or nude. He is crazy. He's cray-cray. On the afternoon of August 1st, 1957, he brought a 19-year-old model named Judy Dole to his apartment. Told that the photographs had been commissioned for a true crime magazine, Dole was bound and gagged. Once she was secure, Glatman threatened the model with a gun, taking pictures all the while. From time to time, he would untie Dole's legs, rape her, and again replace the ropes. As the day drew to a close, he announced that the time had come to let her go. With her wrists tied, Dole was led to Glatman's car and made to sit inside. The television repairman drove for 2 hours, pointing his gun at Dole until he had passed Thousand Palms, 200 kilometers away from Los Angeles. According to Glatman, while pretending to release the model, he used the ropes deftly to break her neck. He then arranged her body for a few more photographs. Glatman's next victim was a 24-year-old named Shirley Ann Bridgeford, whom he met through the Patty Sullivan Lonely Hearts Club. Calling himself George Williams, on March 7th, 1958, he arrived at her home for what was meant to be a first date. There he was introduced to several of Bridgeford's relatives, supposed to take his date out to dinner, followed by square dancing. That would be a hoedown. They did share a meal, but afterwards, Glatman drove with Bridgeford into the Vallecito Mountains. After raping her, Glatman used flashbulbs to take photographs of his victim in the dark countryside. He then waited for the sun to come up so that he could take even more pictures. Eventually, he strangled Bridgeford with a rope and took additional photographs of her corpse. So here's a picture of that poor lady. Like, 4 months later, he returned to the Vallecito Mountains with a model named Ruth Mercado. He had already raped the 24-year-old in her Los Angeles apartment. There in the wilderness, Glatman raped her again, had her pose for photographs, and strangled her with a rope. Other models were much more lucky. They were hired, photographed, and returned home unaware that they had been in the company of a rapist and murderer. He had begun to use Diane Studio, an agency that was more respectable and pricier than his former choices. On 27 October, he hired Lorraine Vigil, the agency's newest model. From the time he picked her up at 8 in the evening, Vigil was careful around Glatman. Caution turned to suspicion when Glatman changed location of their shooting. When she confronted him verbally, Glatman pulled over to the side of the road, took out a handgun, and told her to hold out her arms. He attempted to tie her wrists, but she fought back, holding onto the barrel of the gun. It fired through Vigil's skirt and skimmed her thigh. She then kicked open the door and, holding the gun, fell out on the gravel shoulder of the road. Glatman was grabbing at her sweater, trying to pull Vigil back inside, when he was interrupted by the headlights of a passing police car. Whimpering, Glatman was arrested and taken to Orange County, where, under interrogation, he confessed to the murders of Judy Dole, Shirley Ann Bridgeford, and Ruth Mercado. He surely knew it was only a matter of time before the authorities came upon his collection of photographs. Glatman's trial was a short one. At its center was the playing of a 4-hour taped confession in which the accused described in detail and without emotion each of the 3 murders. On 15 December 1958, Glatman was condemned to death. During the 9-month wait until his execution date, Glatman was held at San Quentin State Prison. He was separated from the rest of the inmates. His home was a cell that would, a decade later, hold Charles Manson. On 18 September 1959, Glatman was taken to the prison gas chamber. After he was strapped to a chair, the door was sealed and sodium cyanide pellets were dropped. He took just under 9 minutes to die. Right? Google it. No, but it's crazy because, like, nowadays it takes a long time. Yeah, that is a true story. Like, isn't it crazy? Like, all of these are true stories. And I'm pretty sure they're just gonna get voice. But yeah, like, nowadays it takes a while to, do a death sentence, if they even do those anymore. For the most part, it's, life in prison without the possibility of parole. And it could be several life sentences or whatnot, but they sure didn't waste any time back in the 50s. Waste any time or tax dollars. The Boston Strangler. Albert DeSalvo's father, Frank DeSalvo, was a Newfoundland fisherman who had found work in Boston as a machinist. A sadistic monster, he would beat his wife and 6 children on a regular basis. Fists, belts, and pipes were used for the smallest of indiscretions. As a boy, Albert DeSalvo witnessed his father beat his mother until all her teeth had fallen out. Then, as she lay on the floor in pain, Frank DeSalvo took his hands and proceeded to break each finger in turn. Jeez. Man. His father would repeatedly pick up prostitutes, bring them into the family home, and have intercourse with them in front of his children. Forever being arrested for not supporting his family, Frank DeSalvo once attempted to relieve the financial burden by selling Albert and his 4 sisters to a farmer for $9. Wow. People actually used to do that, like in the Great Depression and stuff. Like, if they couldn't pay their bills or their rent or whatnot, they'd sell their kids. Crazy. Many serial killers suffered as children, and Albert DeSalvo's early years appear to have been exceptionally horrific. Might his tragic childhood have influenced his future as a serial killer, as some have claimed? Or might there be something else in play? After all, none of DeSalvo's siblings became murderers. Perhaps, though, these are the wrong questions. A better one might be, was Albert DeSalvo really the Boston Strangler? Harvey Glatman. The murders attributed to the Boston Strangler begin on June 14th, 1962, with that of Anna Sellers. The body of this 55-year-old Latvian seamstress was discovered in the early evening when her son arrived at her apartment. So here's a picture of Albert DeSalvo is escorted into Middlesex County Superior Court, Cambridge, Massachusetts. DeSalvo's father once attempted to sell Albert and his 4 young sisters to a farmer for $9. So he must be the one right there with that smile on his face. What are you smiling about, boy? You mook. What the heck's wrong with you, butterfly? Sending his acre to church, he thought initially that his mother had committed suicide. Indeed, the fear had led him to break down her door when she hadn't responded to his knocking. However, the police quickly came to a different conclusion. Slessler's body was found half clothed in a robe lying on the bathroom floor. It was obvious that she had been sexually assaulted and then killed. Death had brought about by the cord of the robe, which had been tightly knotted around her neck. Slessler's apartment appeared to have been burgled. Though many valuables had been overlooked, the police theorized the murderer's original plan had been to steal from the apartment and to come across Slessler's, who he then molested. Their suspicion would be questioned when 16 days later a 68-year-old named Nina Nichols was found dead in her apartment. As with the Latvian seamstress, Nichols had been sexually assaulted. She had been killed by a nylon stocking tied around her neck. The victim's apartment bore signs of a burglary, but again, most valuables had been left behind. The murderer appeared to have gone through Nichols' mail and her address book. Later that day, the body of another woman was found in the Boston suburb of Lynn, some 25 kilometers to the north. The victim, 65-year-old Helen Blake, had been sexually assaulted and stripped with a nylon stocking. Her apartment had been ransacked. After the discovery of the two bodies in a single day, the Boston Police Department issued a warning to all women in the area, advising them to be wary of strangers and to ensure every door was locked. All detectives in the force were transferred to the case. Police holidays were postponed, and a thorough investigation of all known sex offenders was undertaken. However, these efforts did nothing to prevent the Boston Strangler, as he had come to be known, from striking again. On August 19th, the 75-year-old widow, Ida Erga, was murdered in the city's West End. Efforts had been made to arrange the corpse in something reminiscent of an obstetrical examination, which faced the door so as to be the first thing seen upon entering. Although a pillowcase was knotted around her neck, Erga had died from manual strangulation. Her body lay undiscovered for 2 days before it was found. The strangler had already murdered another woman, a 67-year-old nurse named Jane Sullivan. On the other side of the city, her body was found in the apartment bathtub, a nylon stocking knotted around her neck. But the corpse had been lying in the August heat for 10 days and was in such a state of decomposition that police were unable to determine whether or not the victim had been sexually assaulted. Nonetheless, police estimated that Ida Erga and Jane Sullivan had been murdered within 24 hours of one another. Many studying the Boston Strangler described his murder as having taken place in 2 waves. The first begins with the June 14, 1962 murder of Anna Sleslers, and ends less than 10 weeks later with Jane Sullivan's killing. What followed was more than 3 months of inactivity. When the Boston Strangler resumed, his preference in victims appeared to have switched from older to younger women. I know, I was really surprised at the age that he had chosen. But police filed photos of 8 of the victims of the Boston Strangler. An insatiable sexual appetite combined with an appalling childhood seems to have turned DeSalvo into a sadistic, rapacious monster. But was he the Strangler? So here's those ladies. The first victim of the second wave was Sophie Clark, an attractive 20-year-old medical student, murdered just a few blocks away from what had been Slessler's apartment. She had been strangled using a nylon stocking. A half clip had also been placed around her neck. This time there was no evidence of sexual assault, perhaps due to the fact that she was menstruating. Semen was found close to her body on the living room rug. The Strangler's next victim, 23-year-old Patricia Bissett, was murdered on the morning of December 31st, 1962. Her body was found laying face up in bed, covers drawn over her neck. When removed, they revealed that Bissett had been strangled with several stockings and a blouse, knotted and interwoven. She had also been raped. As the first months of 1963 passed without incident, hopes began to rise that the Strangler would never strike again. However, on May 8th, the body of 23-year-old graduate student Beverly Salmons was discovered in her Boston apartment. Although 2 scarves and a nylon stocking had been knotted around her neck, they had played no role in her death. Rather, Salmons had been stabbed 17 times, including 4 wounds to the throat. Jeez, oh Pete. There followed another quiet period. When the Strangler resumed, he appeared to have returned to his original victim type. The body of Evelyn Corbin, a 58-year-old divorcee, was found in her bed. She had been sexually assaulted and strangled with 2 stockings tied around her neck. On the 25th of November, the date on which the body of John F. Kennedy was being interred at Arlington National Cemetery, the killer struck again. His victim, 23-year-old Joan Graff, was beaten, raped, and strangled with 2 nylon stockings and a black leotard. Macabre message. On January 4th, 1964, a 19-year-old named Mary Sullivan was sexually assaulted and killed. Her body was left sitting upright in bed, dressed only in a bra and open blouse. Around Sullivan's neck was a rope the strangler had made, consisting of a nylon stocking and 2 scarves. He had left a message for the authorities, a greeting card propped up against the corpse's left foot. It read, "Happy New Year." Wow. That's crazy. If those attempting to catch the Boston Strangler saw anything happy in the new year, lay in the fact that he appeared to commit no further murders. There seemed to be no explanation for the inactivity. Then, in March 1965, they were provided with an answer when Albert DeSalvo, an inmate of the Massachusetts Correctional Institution, confessed to the murders. It appears that they had unknowingly locked up the Boston Strangler months before. Born November 3, 1931, Albert Henry DeSalvo had progressed from a ghastly childhood to become a career criminal. He once stated that it had been his father who had taught him how to steal. DeSalvo's arrest took place in November 1943, just after his 12th birthday, when he was charged with assault and battery with intent to commit robbery. He was sent to the Lyman School for Boys, the first reform school in the United States. DeSalvo's education at Lyman did nothing to curb his criminal behavior. Despite his shameful record, at the age of 17, he managed to join the United States Army. Wow, I'm surprised they accepted him. As they do that, I think that might have been how my Uncle Rex joined the Army. Because him and my dad used to get in trouble all the time, doing dumb stuff, but they wouldn't take my dad for some reason, but they took my uncle. He was sent to Europe, where he met and married a German woman who he brought back to the United States. He was then posted to Fort Hamilton, New York, and Fort Dix, New Jersey. It was while serving at the second of the 2 bases that DeSalvo was arrested for having molested a 9-year-old girl. He escaped prosecution only because the girl's mother didn't want to press charges. But why? His sex drive was described as insatiable. He demanded sex from his wife 6 or more times a day. When she rebuffed his advances, DeSalvo would fly into a rage and accuse her of being frigid. Their relationship soured further after their first child was born with a pelvic disease. Bringing further children with birth defects, DeSalvo's wife all but curtailed their sex life. When he confessed to the murders that had been attributed to the Boston Strangler, DeSalvo was in prison for a string of seemingly unrelated assaults, the last occurring on October 27, 1964, had led directly to his arrest. On that morning, DeSalvo broke into the apartment of a sleeping 20-year-old university student. After she was awoken, DeSalvo proceeded to tie the woman up and then fondle her. The victim's description led police to identify the assailant. When DeSalvo's photograph was published in Boston area newspapers, other women identified him as the man who had assaulted them. DeSalvo was not a suspect in any of the strangling cases. His confession was made to fellow prisoner George Nassar, who reported it to F.L. Bailey, his attorney. Bailey, in turn, took on DeSalvo as a client and represented him as he repeated his confession to the police. All who heard the prisoner speak were impressed by the accuracy with which he described the crime scenes. Though there were some inconsistencies, DeSalvo provided details that had not been made available to the public. To the tally of 11 murders attributed to the Strangler, DeSalvo added 2 others. The first victim, a 68-year-old woman named Mary Brown, had been found bludgeoned, stabbed, and strangled in her home in Lawrence on March 6, 1963. The second woman, also elderly, had been so frightened that she had died of a heart attack before he could strangle her. However, not one piece of physical evidence was found at any of the crime scenes that could substantiate his story. Despite the 2,000-page transcript of his confession, DeSalvo stood trial only for the unrelated crimes of robbery and sexual assaults. In January 1967, he was sentenced to life in prison. The next month, he and 2 fellow inmates escaped Bridgewater State Hospital, setting in motion a full-scale manhunt. DeSalvo left behind a note stating the escape was intended as a means of focusing attention on the conditions in the hospital and his own situation. He gave himself up the next day and was transferred to the maximum security Walpole State Prison. On November 25th, 1973, DeSalvo was found murdered in the prison infirmary. His killer or killers hadn't been identified. Yeah.
I'm hungry.
Okay, I'm almost on breaking. I'll be right out.
Yeah.
Get out of here. You can't hear this stuff. It's bad. I tell you, it's bad.
It's a book.
Yeah, about psychopaths and bad things they do. Go on now.
Yeah.
Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah.
See you in a minute.
Yeah.
Get.
Psychopath.
Sometimes. There's always been serious doubt whether DeSalvo was the Boston Strangler. At the time of his confession, it seems all who had known him, including police officers with whom DeSalvo had long histories, believed he was incapable of committing the crimes. Confusing the issue was the belief among many of the police department that there was no Boston Strangler, rather that the 11 murders were committed by 2 or more individuals. Today, skeptics of the idea that there was a single strangler point out that the victims came from different age and ethnic groups, and that there were very different patterns to the murders. Moreover, killing by strangulation in the Boston area did not end with Mary Sullivan, the supposed final victim. And then there was a matter of evidence. There was no physical evidence linking DeSalvo to any of the crime scenes. No witnesses could place him at or near any of the sites. Why would DeSalvo admit to these horrible crimes if he didn't actually commit them? One theory rests on DeSalvo's realization that he would likely be incarcerated for the rest of his life for the crimes of burglary and assault. Looking for a means with which to support his wife and children, he entered into an ill-fated scheme in which George Nassar would receive a significant reward for turning in DeSalvo as the Boston Strangler. Accordingly, the 2 men would have split the proceeds. DeSalvo once told F. Lee Bailey that he hoped to be able to provide for his family by writing a book on his crimes. He avoided before ever being able to carry out the plan. Oh, DeSalvo. No presents for you. I know, she was harassing me before I started the show, wanting me to let her open a Christmas present early. And she's like, I can't wait another week. I'm like, you're going to have to. Wait till Santa Claus hears about this, you little monster. But anyways, on that note, boys and girls, we do have to go to our first music break. This break, if you do need to go take a break or get something to eat or hit the head or whatnot, is a little over 19 minutes. The next break will be about 18. But on this break, we have Mr. Jeff Hilliard with Consensual Sex Van. Banger Banger Day, Silicone Wave, Molitude, and Cock That Hills. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
Do you wanna go for a ride in my consensual sex van? Do you wanna go for a ride in my consensual sex van? Let me take you far away from all this fan puff. There will be nothing in between our love, like a pair of doves flying high above, where nothing can touch us, touching softly. Don't let me go, I won't let you go. This is eternity with me, baby. Do you wanna go for a ride in my consensual sex van? Do you wanna go for a ride let's go, let's go, let's go. Just get in the van. When your life is a never-ending train wreck, and you feel like you're drowning in a sea of regret, with a bit of oppression pressing down on your neck, it hurts so bad. When your overwhelming hatred kills your heart desire, and reality starts looking like a dumpster fire, you start bitching to me, but you're preaching to the choir. You don't need to be so mad, 'cause sometimes we hurt, sometimes we cry, sometimes we're sure there's no reason to try. When the whole world goes completely insane, open your heart, stand up and sing. I'm gonna finger bang my day. Yeah, yeah, I'll finger bang my day. That's right. You gotta make the choice to give it all you've got, and make your day long with pleasure, really make it hot. Because your day deserves a lover that pulls out the stops. Come on, it's not so hard. 'Cause sometimes we hurt, sometimes we cry, sometimes we're sure there's no reason to try. When the whole world blows up in our face, what else could we do but stand up and sing? Gonna finger bang my day. Yeah, yeah, finger bang my day. Hey, what are we really doing? We can't live in a world that has this much hate. We have to get honest with ourselves. We have to take stock in what our part is in all of this madness. We have to let go, and we focus on giving love, setting that intention. And each and every single one of us gets up every day with the intention to give love. And we do it. We go out there and we give love every single day. Each one of us gets out there and makes love to our day, giving our day a multiple orgasm. The whole world will be orgasmic for the rest of eternity. Sometimes we hurt, sometimes we cry, sometimes we're sure there's no reason to try. When the whole world is fucking insane, we open our hearts, stand up and sing. I'm gonna finger bang my day. Finger bang my day. Finger bang my day. Let's open our hearts, stand up and sing. I'm gonna finger bang my day. Yeah, yeah, finger bang my day. I just got a package, I can't wait to get home. I spent all day tracking the shipment on my phone, all that she was lacking. I ordered custom, I can't wait to get some. Take it to the bedroom, bitches always nagging. Now I got the AI, send the bitches packing, going my way. I have a new attraction, don't care what you say, it's better in every way. Now baby, it's time to play, we're gonna make us a tape and show everyone the way. 'Cause I'm going my way, riding up Silicon Valley, on the game with my new real dog. I'm gonna play just second way to my cause I'm calling my way, riding up Silicon Way. I'll see on the game with my new real dog. I'm gonna play just second way to Mount Silicon Way. She is here to stay. She's my new real dog, and it's time to play.
My dreams. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi?
Fais-moi l'amour.
Je suis amoureux.
Je pense toujours à
Enchanté,
tu es charmant.
ma chérie, mon futur nasty. Easy touchy little nipple.
Tu es chaud. Fais-moi l'amour.
Like living on a super yacht, making love to a robot. It's like owning a football team, but having sex with a robot. It's like winning an Oscar and Emmy and Grammy when you're fucking a robot. It's like saving a family with a newborn from a fire, but you're fucking a robot. Like
I got Marlon moves, got that multitude. You think it's wrong? I could've had too long. Fuck that. Check these Marlon moves. You need a multitude. I can do no wrong. Back of the head on. Never gonna
all these hookers sweet on me. Look at them chasing me, showing me that ass. And a banged up snatch. I do this shit for free. Go down your mama till 3. She's taking selfies with the mullet like it's history. I can't outmaneuver you with that pussy, dude. You sit like Buddha waiting on it to come to you. My lines are straight to the point. She shows me gratitude. So what's your latitude? Let's adjust your attitude. Double-dually Lamborghini, all up in a silly little yellow polka dot bikini.
I got Marlon moves, I got that multitude. You think it's wrong? Back of the head too long. Fuck that.
Double-dually Lamborghini, all up in a silly little yellow polka dot bikini.
Check these Marlon moves. You need a multitude. I can do no wrong. Back of the head on. Never gonna cut it.
Alligator, double-dually Lamborghini, all up in a silly little yellow polka dot bikini. You're like the butt of a butter knife cutting up panini. So climb back in your kangaroo pouch like a rolling genie. These moves are hot, these locks I got. This power cannot be disputed and it can't be bought. So you can find me in the studio with all these thoughts. Wanna buy my style, but you can't be what you're not, neighbor.
I got Marlon moves, I got that multitude. You think it's wrong? Back of the head too long. Fuck that. Check these Marlon moves. You need a multitude. I can do no wrong. Back of the head long. Never gonna cut it. Got that motherfucking mullet. You wanna touch it?
Yeah. Next time you come around here with your bitch ass, just remember how my mullet makes your hose pussy drip, drip, drip.
I got Marlon moves, I got that multitude. You think it's wrong? Back of the head too long. Fuck that. Check these Marlon moves. You need a multitude. I can get no wrong. Don't cut it. I got Marlon moves, I got that multitude. You think it's wrong? Head too long. Fuck that. Check these Marlon moves. You need a multitude. I can do no wrong. Back of the head, I'm never gonna cut it. Never gonna cut it. cut it.
desperate and pathetic. Nothing but a coward. You're a fool with nothing to offer. No one will ever believe you. They see you for what you are. You're just a fraud, a shell of a person. And now the marvelous fear to penetrate the demons that love you. They enslave you to the dungeon of the hate. I am the son of God.
Welcome back, Wapham crew, aka Truzido, Adrian, Sandra, Hart, Chris, anybody else who's out there listening at the moment. Story time with me, TessaTNT. Just got done feeding the little rugrats some chicken breasts with rice and cilantro some yummy stuff in there. I didn't put the jalapenos in this time because the jalapenos I got this last time are pretty spicy. The kids still like them, but hopefully they don't notice and come rapping at my door. Little Tommy knockers. Back to our book. The World's Most Evil Psychopaths. Horrifying True-Life Cases. This is by John Marlowe. And he's actually done a really good job with this book, I must say. So we're working our way from the oldest known prolific serial killers to the newest. Well, newest as far as when this book was published, which was, I almost said 2006, but that was the address. Huh. Usually there's a print date. When did this book come out? 2011 is when this was printed, or this edition was printed. So our next prolific serial killer is Richard Speck. Richard Speck believed that he'd been born to raise hell. Indeed, as a teenager, he had had those very words tattooed on his arm. Let me make sure I'm unmuted over here. I am. Yay, I did it. It was neither a young man's folly nor an idle boast. Richard Franklin Speck was born December 6, 1941 in Kirkwood, Illinois, a small village of a few hundred people located midway between Chicago and Kansas City. The seventh of 8 children, he was very close to his father, Benjamin Speck. His young life was thrown into turmoil at the age of 6 when his father died. His mother reunited with some of the children, Richard included, to Fair Park, Texas, where she married a man named Lindbergh. What? Speck watched as his mother... Yes, boy?
Halfway through my food bag for what?
In the bathroom or what?
I found a little bit on the floor, but the closest to me was the kitchen, so I went into the trash can.
Okay. Are you okay? Is it because you guys were being silly or what?
And guess what, Mom?
What?
Zoe made it up. It's disgusting.
Okay, that's gross.
I know. In the floor. And I'm like, guess I don't have to clean it up anymore.
It's true. So was it just a little bit? Did you get to keep any of your dinner now?
A lot.
Oh boy.
No.
That was the last of the tortillas.
Yeah, I only ate one. Like one of those.
Okay. Are you going to be able to finish your food?
Probably.
Is the dog eating it, right? The cat? Go on. Uh-oh. Poor boy. Lost his taco. Carl Lindbergh sounds familiar to me. Does this have anything to do with the Lindbergh baby? I don't know. Speck watched as his mother, a religious woman with no tolerance for alcohol in the home, adapted to marriage with a drunken, violent man who had a history with the police. Speck came to hate his stepfather with the same passion he had shown in loving his father. In Texas, he was a poor student and demonstrated little interest in school. The 8th grade was the last he managed to complete. Before his 12th birthday, he had began to drink. It was both an escape and a means to countering severe headaches brought on, most likely by a series of head injuries. Poor guy. I have to wonder if that's why I have tinnitus, and the lady at my doctor's office was like, no, it has nothing to do with your head or your brain. It's from being around loud noises. You were in the military, you heard gunfire. Your husband's also in a band, so there's like yada yada.
So,
I think it's something else.
So we looked at...
Okay, please go. Son, we don't want to hear your yucky stories.
So we looked everything off of the tortilla, my last one.
Okay, we'll feed her the tortilla and I'll figure something out for you.
The tortilla.
Okay. Sorry, boy. Man, all kinds of crazy shenanigans going on out there. While he was in here telling me that he lost his taco by, eating, Zoe ate his other taco that was left over. Poor kid. Man, that poor kid. But anyways, yeah. I don't think it is from loud stuff. Or it could be. When I was landing in Arkansas last time on the plane, it felt like a scene from Total Recall where like his eyes were bulging out and his head was about to explode. That happened. I don't know if they didn't do the cabin pressure correctly or what, but yeah. Come to find out I had like a slight ear infection or whatever, and I don't know, but I kind of think it could have been that or just all the head injuries. I'm not sure. Entering adolescence, Speck was arrested for the first time. His offense, trespassing, would be joined by charges of burglary and stabbing as he towards adulthood. In November 1962, he married a woman named Shirley Malone. The next year, the couple had a baby daughter, but his approach to the role of father was in stark contrast to that of Benjamin Speck. Convictions on theft, check fraud. It's funny how they spell check. That is like a European way of spelling it. It's pretty interesting. Check fraud. It's C-H-E-Q-U-E. Sounds very European to me. And aggravated assault charges meant that he spent much of the marriage in prison. In January 1966, Speck's wife filed for divorce. She would claim that on at least one occasion he had raped her at knife point. That's insane. Shortly thereafter, Speck was charged in a stabbing and burglary. Incredibly, he was let go after paying a fine of $10. Can you believe that? That is insane. Alright, $10, you're good. You know, you did stab jab that guy, but we're gonna let you go. Okay, Speck? Don't do it again. Shortly thereafter, Speck was charged, yep, we already read that, on the 2nd of April, an elderly local woman, Mrs. Virgil Harris, was attacked, bound, and raped. 9 days later, a barmaid named May K. Pease was found dead behind Frank's Place, Speck's tavern of choice. He was questioned for the second time, but became sick during the interrogation and was let go. Although he promised to return on April 19th, he never did. Local police tracked him to a hotel, but found he had run out a few hours earlier. Man, this guy's a grease, so look at that guy. Left behind in Speck's room, they found a radio and jewelry belonging to Harris. Like, why would he steal it and then leave it behind? That makes no sense to me. Speck's disappeared. In actual fact, he had found work on a ship on the Great Lakes. As he traveled, bodies seemed to appear in his wake. He was soon wanted for questioning about the disappearances of 3 females and the moidas of 4 others. At approximately 11 o'clock on the evening of July 14th, 1966, a student nurse named Cora Amuro, I don't know, answered a knocking at the door to a townhouse dormitory in South Chicago. She was met by Speck, who was holding a handgun. Grabbing her by the arm, he made his way through the townhouse, threatening the women with his gun until they'd all been gathered in one of the bedrooms. There were 6 of them all together. Like, they could have totally, all ganged up on him and got rid of this guy. Look at girls. Let's team up. Let's get rid of this dude. This gnarly dude. Another student nurse, Gloria Davy, arrived home from a date and had the misfortune of stumbling into the scene. Speck would later claim that his original intention was simply to rob the women. Indeed, each was made to give him money from their purses. However, he was soon ripping sheets from one of the bunk beds, using the strips to tie each woman's wrists and ankles. He had completed this task when another 2 students, Suzanne Ferris and Mary Ann Jordan, arrived home. When they came upon Speck and the bound women, they tried to flee the townhouse. Speck ran after the pair. They were forced into another of the bedrooms. He stabbed Jordan 3 times, including once in the eye. Ay. Ferris was strangled with a white nurse's stocking and stabbed 18 times in the chest and neck. They were the first of 8 women who would die, and they usually say, this is a crime of passion, it's gotta be Sid that knows her. But this guy didn't know them from Eve. Although he would later claim to have been high on alcohol and drugs, Speck spent the next several hours methodically removing the women from the room, either individually or in pairs. He would take each to another bedroom where they would be beaten, raped, and stabbed. Cora Amuro managed to escape this fate by hiding under one of the beds and pressing herself as tightly as possible against the wall. Speck simply lost track of the number of women he had bound. It later came out that he had known women lived in the dormitory, but was unaware that there had been one visitor. The visitor happened to be Amuro. After Speck left the dormitory, Amuro remained hidden, not daring to come out from under the bed until 5 the next morning. She ran to the balcony and began screaming, "They're all dead! All my friends are dead! Oh my god, I'm the only one alive!" With a survivor on their hands, police moved quickly in identifying Speck. However, not all police officers had been alerted to the identity of the killer. 2 days after the murder, the police were called to a rundown hotel to investigate a complaint that a man named Staten had a gun in his room. Awakened by the cops, Staten gave his name as Richard Speck and explained the gun by saying that it belonged to a prostitute he'd picked up the night before. Satisfied, the police left. Drunk on beer and cheap wine, Speck kept moving through the low-rent areas of Chicago, always ahead of the police. However, by 19 July, his name and photograph were all over the front pages of the local newspapers. Speck bought these papers and a bottle of cheap wine, which he drank after returning to the cheap motel room he'd rented. He then smashed the bottle and used a broken glass to slice open his wrist and inner elbow. Discovered by the desk clerk and taken by ambulance to Cook County Hospital. It was Leroy Smith, the doctor who worked to save Speck's life, who identified the killer. He had read all about the wanted man and recognized the Born to Raise Hell tattoo from the newspaper description. So here's a mugshot of Richard Speck, released by the Dallas County Sheriff's Department in 1965, top in 1961 on the bottom. And then over here is a crime lab technician, Louis Vitullo, holds the knife sold for $1 by Speck hours after slaying the 8 student nurses. So here's Speck. Look at that guy. It's ridiculous. And then here's a guy checking out the evidence, and the crime lab technician. And interesting job, but I guess it could be like not too cool. It just wasn't their night. Speck contemplates his future after being arraigned on 8 counts of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to 8 consecutive terms of 50 to 150 years, commuted to a maximum of 300 years. I doubt he lived that long. That looks like he's in the hospital bed or whatever, after he sliced and diced himself. While being treated, Speck told Smith that he had committed the murders of the 8 student nurses. However, it was a confession made under the influence of sedatives and so could not be used in court. When he had recovered from his suicide attempt, Speck maintained that he had no memory of the evening in the dormitory. Speck's trial began on April 3rd, 1967. The evidence presented appeared overwhelming. At the center of those testifying was the survivor, Cora Amuro. When asked whether she could identify the man who had murdered her friend, she rose from her seat and latched the witness box door. Sorry, I just couldn't get that word out. Walked across the courtroom and stood, pointing before Speck, saying, "This is the man." 2 weeks later, when asked for their decision, it took the jury just 49 minutes to declare Speck guilty and to recommend the death penalty. Speck was sentenced to death on June 5th, a conviction that set in motion over 5 years of legal maneuverings. The penultimate decision, made on November 21st, 1972, sentenced Speck to 8 consecutive terms of between 50 and 150 years. The following year, this was reduced to a new statutory maximum of 300 years. He was incarcerated at Stateville Correctional Center, a maximum security prison in Crest Hill, Illinois. Though he preferred solitary pastimes such as stamp collecting, Speck was anything but a model prisoner. Most of his infractions involved drugs and bootleg alcohol. He sought and was denied parole on 6 different applications, the last being in 1990. Speck died of a heart attack on December 5th, 1991, the day before what would have been his 50th birthday. An autopsy performed on his brain revealed gross abnormalities. However, further examination and study was held after samples disappeared. What happened to them, I wonder? Speck's unclaimed body was eventually cremated. A service was held, attended only by the county coroner, a deputy, a newspaper columnist, and a pastoral worker. His ashes were spread in an undisclosed location. The death of Richard Speck was a news story for a day or two. Some media outlets provided summaries of his awful crimes. Then, just as Speck slowly began to fade from modern memory, in May 1996, a videotape surfaced believed to have been shot 2 years before his death. It features a bizarre-looking Speck with pendulous breasts, wearing blue silk panties. He was shown taking drugs and having sex. But more shocking than the visual images are Speck's words. In answers to questions posed by another, he describes the process and strength required in strangling someone to death. When asked about the deaths of the 8 nurses, he responds, "It just wasn't their night." Controversy followed. Some advocates of the death penalty used the tapes to support their cause. Others stated that it was obvious Speck was being forced by other inmates into acts and argued for penal reform. You okay?
Died.
Are you gonna be okay? Okay, I'm sorry. Please go.
Don't worry.
Monsters, I tell you what. So Pete. Oh, Ed Kemper. I remember this guy. Oh my goodness. Edmund Kemper. It is sometimes claimed that serial killers want to be caught. Increasing sloppiness, risk-taking, and taunting, yet revealing letters sent to the authorities are often cited as proof. Ultimately, this is nothing more than speculation. We cannot really know. However, it can be said with certainty that Edmund Kemper, the co-ed killer, wanted to be caught, and that's down to the simple fact that he actually turned himself in. Edmund Emil Kemper was born on December 18, 1948 in Burbank, California, the home of the Walt Disney Company and Warner Brothers. An only son, he had one older and one younger sister. Kemper was named after his father, with whom he was extremely close. In 1957, his parents divorced, and his mother moved with the children to Helena, Montana. There, nearly 2,000 kilometers away from his father, Kemper suffered his mother's emotional abuse. She would often lie in the basement thinking that he would molest his sisters. While still a child, he began to torture and kill animals and used his sister's doll in acting out aberrant sexual fantasies and situations. On more than one occasion, his younger sister found that her dolls had been decapitated. In a favorite childhood game, Kemper would dream of his own execution, enlisting one of his sisters to lead him to a pretend electric chair. At the age of 13, he ran away from home and made his way back to California. His father, who had remarried, was somewhat less than pleased to see him. It was during the trip that Kemper learned he had a stepbrother, a boy, who had replaced him in his father's affections. He was sent back to Montana, where he was equally unwelcome. As a 14-year-old, he was sent to live with his paternal grandparents, Maud and Edmund Kemper, on their 17-acre ranch in North Fork, California. Already considerably more than 6 feet tall, he was an awkward boy both physically and socially. Despite his height, he was easily bullied. According to Kemper, his grandmother was another in a list of tormentors. On the afternoon of August 27, 1964, the two argued and, taking the rifle given to him by his grandfather the previous Christmas, Kemper shot his grandmother once in the head and twice in the back. It was an end of act. His grandfather arrived home and was shot as he got out of his car. Kemper would later say that he killed his grandfather to spare the old man the discovery of his dead wife, killed by his grandson. After phoning his mother to tell her what he had done, Kemper called the local police and waited on the porch for their arrival. In custody, he was diagnosed as having paranoid schizophrenia and sent to Atascadero State Hospital for the criminally insane. On his 21st birthday, December 18th, 1969, against the wishes of several psychologists, he was released into his mother's care. She had moved back to California during her son's incarceration and was now living in Santa Cruz, a rapidly growing beach town to the south of San Francisco. Kemper attended community college and received high marks. He became friendly with various community college members of the Santa Cruz Police Department. For a time, he planned on becoming an officer, a dream that ended when he learned that he was too tall. What? I saw a tall police officer at the Humane Society, and swear to God, probably 6'4", 6'5". So I don't know if they changed those rules or stipulations. That's interesting. Weighing nearly 300 pounds over stone, Kemper was an imposing figure. He worked at a number of jobs before settling into a position as a laborer with the California Division of Highways, an occupation that had some relationship to his subsequent crimes. Kemper wasn't good with money, but he managed to save enough to move out of his mother's home and share an apartment with a roommate. He also purchased a motorcycle, which played a part in 2 separate accidents. As a result of one of these, Kemper received a settlement of $15,000. He used this money to buy a yellow Ford Galaxy and began to cruise the area along the Pacific coast in search of female hitchhikers. By his own estimation, he generously provided rides to approximately 150 young women and girls, all the while slowly gathering items of sinister purpose in his trunk: knives, handcuffs, a blanket, and plastic bags. On May 7, 1972, he picked up his first victims, Marianne Pesch and Anita Luchessa, who were hitchhiking 270 kilometers from Fresno to Stanford University. First, the girls felt themselves lucky, as Kemper told them he would drive them all the way to Stanford. However, he soon drove off the highway and onto a deserted dirt road. There he stopped, killed both girls, and drove back to the highway with their bodies in his car. The scene reminiscent of the movie cliche, Kemper was almost caught when, as he drove back to his apartment, the police pulled him over and issued a warning for a broken taillight. Kemper arrived at his apartment to find that his roommate was out. He carried in both bodies, laid them on the floor of his bedroom, and began to dissect them. Taking photographs to mark his progress, he later admitted that he'd had sex with various severed parts. He disposed of the girls' bodies in the mountains, burying that of Pesch in a shallow grave, which he marked in order to find it on future visits. During the next 4 months, he continued to give lifts to women, often engaging in conversations about an unknown man who was murdering female hitchhikers. On September 14th, he raped and killed Aiko Ku, a 15-year-old girl who had decided to hitchhike after becoming tired of waiting for a bus. She too was taken to the apartment and dissected. The next day, Kemper went before 2 psychiatrists, a requirement of his parole. As a result of the interview, it was concluded that he was no longer a danger. Later, he disposed of Ku's body parts outside Boulder Creek. The following January and February, Kemper killed 3 more women, 2 of whom he picked up at the University of California's Santa Cruz campus, where his mother was employed. These same 2 women he dismembered and beheaded in his mother's home. Okay, so I guess she was at work and he went to do it at her house? Like, what happened with his roommate? Anyways, here's a picture. At 6'9", even the police looked up to Ed Kemper, but he was no gentle giant. Here he is being arraigned in 1973. And then here's a picture of Miss Aiko Ku, who decided to hitchhike rather than wait bus. So there's Ed. Look at how tall he is compared to those officers. And there's Aiko. Oh, poor girl. On the 21st of April 1973, Good Friday, Kemper killed his mother with a pick hammer as she slept. After decapitating her, he sexually assaulted the corpse. The head he placed on the mantelpiece where he used it as a dartboard. He then invited over one of his mother's female friends, Sally Hallett, whom he strangled and beheaded. On Easter Sunday, he drove off eastward to Hallett's car, listening for news reports of murders that he had committed on the radio. After driving approximately 2,400 kilometers without hearing a word on his crimes, Kemper pulled off the road. From a phone booth in Pueblo, Colorado, he phoned his old friends at Santa Cruz Police Department and confessed to the murder of his mother, her friend, and the 6 female hitchhikers. However, the officer who took the call, knowing Kemper, did not think him at all capable of the crimes, and considered the call a practical joke made in poor taste. It took several further phone calls to convince the Santa Cruz police that a visit to Mrs. Kemper's house might be warranted. On May 7th, 1973, Kemper was charged with 8 counts of first-degree murder. While awaiting trial, he twice attempted suicide. The trial began on October 23rd and lasted less than 3 weeks. Kemper's plea of not guilty by reason of insanity was countered by 3 prosecution psychiatrists who declared him to be sane. In the end, he was found guilty on all 8 counts. He asked to be sentenced to death, but his childhood fantasy was denied. Kemper is currently serving a sentence of life imprisonment in the California State Medical Corrections Facility. There's a really good show, I believe it's on Netflix, of the guys who first started, like, the victims unit or whatnot, like, following different serial killers and figuring out why they did it, who, like, just different things like that. Maybe the FBI? I don't think it's the FBI. Could be FBI. I don't know, or a portion of it. But here's Kemper. He was once asked what he thought when he saw a young girl in the street and replied, "One side of me says, I'd like to talk to her and date her. The other side of me says, I wonder how her head would look on a stick." Jerry Brudos. The mind of the serial killer seems much a mystery. Explanations of their crimes are beyond the realm of the easy answer. Incredibly, some observers have blamed the troubled life and horrific crimes of Jerry Brudos, Oregon's worst serial killer, on the void created by the absence of a mother's love. Jerome Henry Brudos was born on January 31st, 1939 in South Dakota, the 3rd child in a family that already included 2 boys. He would later say that his mother had so hoped for a daughter, the birth of yet another son was a great disappointment. Raised by a mother who viewed him with scorn, Brudos grew up with the knowledge that at least one of his parents thought he had been born the wrong sex. He sought approval and friendship from other females, but often found himself ignored and very much alone. As he matured, so did his attraction to women's shoes and lingerie. The roots of Brudos' fetishes are quite deep and, unnervingly, can be traced back to a early age. As a 5-year-old, he uncovered a pair of stiletto-heeled shoes at a local dump and later was caught wearing them by his mother. Her strong and violent reaction, which included the destruction of his treasure, may very well have served to fuel Brudos' interest in women's footwear as something forbidden. At the same age, he was caught stealing the shoes of his kindergarten teacher. By the age of 17, Brudos' desire for the feminine had taken a more serious turn. He abducted a 17-year-old girl at knife point and led her to a local hillside in which he had excavated a large hole. Once there, Brudos beat the girl and forced her to remove her clothing. The assault was interrupted by an elderly couple out for a stroll, and he was arrested. As a result, Brudos spent 9 months in the psychiatric ward at the Oregon State Hospital, where he openly discussed fantasies with the attending doctors. He explained that the hillside dugout had been intended as a place to keep girls he wanted to use as sex slaves. One of his more disturbing fantasies concerned dumping women into freezers so that he might later use their stiff bodies and creating sexually explicit poses and scenes. Amazingly, as Brudos provided doctors with details of his dreams and desires, he was permitted to attend his high school classes. Ultimately, these same mental health practitioners determined that their teenage patient was suffering from nothing more than a difficulty in adjusting to adolescence. Despite the abduction, the beating, and the hole he'd created for sex slaves, the future serial killer was considered a person not prone to violence. After high school, Brudos enlisted in the military, but was soon discharged as an undesirable recruit. He became an electronics technician. Man, there's a hair in here. And in 1961 married a shy 17-year-old, 5 years his senior. What? How could you get married that early? That's crazy. At the beginning of their marriage, Brudos insisted that his bride remain naked when at home. Exactly how long this rule remained in place is unknown. It may have lasted until the birth of his children, or perhaps the arrival of his mother. Whatever the answer, there was another rule that remained in place. All were forbidden to enter certain areas of the house, rooms in which Brudos indulged his sexual fantasies. And yet, as the years passed, Brudos' wife caught glimpses of his secret life. A paperweight in the shape of a breast, photographs of nude women. On one occasion, he appeared before her in women's underwear, garments probably obtained by breaking into other people's houses. During at least these break-ins, Brudos encountered a woman and raped her. On January 26, 1968, he committed what is thought to have been his first murder. The victim was Linda Slauson, a 19-year-old who was trying to raise money for university by selling encyclopedias door to door. Brudos lured the young woman into his workshop, where she was clubbed on the head, then strangled. All this took place while, at Brudos' encouragement, the rest of the family sat eating at a local fast food restaurant. Over the next few days, he dressed, photographed, and sexually violated the corpse. He eventually disposed of Slauson's body by throwing it off a bridge into Willamette River, but not before amputating one of her feet, which he kept and used to model his collection of women's shoes. Hey, Minnesota, what's up? When the severed foot had deteriorated to a point at which Brudos no longer found it to be of use, it too was thrown in the river. 11 months later to the day, he murdered again. The second victim was Jan Whitney, whom he encountered on a roadside after her car had broken down. Brudos took her to his house, saying that she would be able to wait with his wife while he returned to repair the car. Instead, he strangled Whitney, sexually violating the corpse before carrying it to his workshop. Again, he took photographs and dressed the corpse in his collection of women's clothing. For several days, he left the body hanging from the ceiling. Despite his actions and the fact that his crimes were taking place within a house shared with his wife, his children, and, of course, his mother, Brudos seemed to think that there was no way he would be caught. It was then that a rather bizarre accident took place. A car struck his house, damaging the structure to such an extent that the passers-by could easily view the inside. Before the police could investigate the interior of the house, Brudos took down Whitney's body and hid it in a small structure on his property. When it was time to dispose of Whitney's body, Brudos cut off her right breast. He'd hoped to use it as a mold in making paperweights, like the one he had purchased, but was unsuccessful attempts. On the 27th of March 1969, his next murder victim, Carrie Sprinker, was abducted at gunpoint and taken to his home. The previous woman he'd killed, Brudos raped Sprinker before killing her. She was forced to model various items from his collection of women's clothing, and was eventually hanged. He cut off both her breasts, dressed the corpse in a long-line bra, and stuffed the cups. In late April, using a fake police badge and the threat of a charge for shoplifting, Brudos abducted Linda Sallee, his final victim. She was bound in his workshop, waiting while he had dinner, before being sexually assaulted and strangled. Brudos later claimed that she was being raped at the moment of death. The disappearances of all 4 women remained complete mysteries to the authorities. All appeared to have simply vanished. Then inmate, a man out fishing, found decomposing human remains floating in the Long Tong River. After the police arrived, more remains were discovered, bound to a car transmission box. The body was identified as that of Linda Salih. The speed with which the authorities zeroed in on Brutos is truly impressive. Among the clues used in identifying the killer was the manner in which copper wire had been used to bind Salih's body, an unusual technique that indicated someone with training as an electrician. On May 30th, he was arrested, just as he had been when he was a patient at the psychiatric ward of the Oregon Hospital. Brutos openly discussed his sexual fantasies. Indeed, while under interrogation, he appeared to seize upon the opportunity presented to share his secret dreams with others. There was no expression of remorse for his victims. What little sympathy Brutos had was directed towards his wife and children, but most certainly not his mother. For his crimes, Brutos received 3 life sentences. He died of natural causes on March 28, 2006. At the time of his death, Brutos was the longest-serving inmate at Oregon State Penitentiary. So, the next one is the monster of Florence Millick. But, I don't know, I guess we should get into this one. Man, probably not. This one goes on quite a ways till we get to Mr. John Wayne Gacy. So that's it for story time with me, TessaTNT, this evening. On that note, boys and girls, we are going to go to our first music break. On this break, we have Mr. Jeff Hilliard, and he's going to be singing a ballad known as Abandoned. Then we have Miss Mia Savage with her band Antidote for Savages, and she will be singing Lemurian Crypto, The Bottom Line, and Your Skeleton. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
Left here alone, just a shadow of my erection on the wall. Why won't you answer my calls? I gave you my all with the love we made together all night long. I just don't know what's wrong. I
the air.
another. Because it's just a ride, and we can change it anytime we want.
It's only the choice. No record, no work, no job, no savings of money.
Just a choice right now between fear and love. Right now, between fear and love.
Welcome back, guys and gals. I hope you guys had a nice break time. It just went by so fast, even though it was like 18 minutes. Just never seems like enough time to take care of things out there when I'm left alone with the childrens on the night of the show. So, for the third hour, as per usual, we are going to be watching a creepy video together. And this is one of my favorite channels, Nuke's Top 5. He's had some stuff going on with his life where he doesn't get to post as often as he used to. We all have family struggles, so sending out thoughts and positive energy for our friend Nuke out there, if that is indeed his real name. Let me make sure I'm unmuted over here. Yep, unmuted. Unmuted. All right. Safety checks done. Moving right along. So we're gonna watch this video together. I hope you guys enjoy it. I gotta tell you, pretty intense. Intense. Right, top 10 ghost videos. So scary. It goes up to 11. Forget about the top 10. It is Nuke's top 5. If you're into paranormal videos, please go over there to his channel and subscribe. He does an awesome job. And like I said, send out some positive energy for him. If you would.
This next video was recorded by a man named Javier from Argentina. Javier says that he was worried about his friend Antonio as he hadn't heard from him in a while. So he drives over to Antonio's house to check up on his friend. Javier bangs on the front door. No one answers. He calls out Antonio's name. Again, no answer. So Javier climbs over the wall into Antonio's backyard and goes to the back door of the house. For some reason, the door is open. Fearing the worst, Javier goes inside to investigate. What happens next is downright chilling.
Antonio!
It's weird that his door is cracked open. Looks like he's a painter.
Toño, soy yo. Javier. Hey.
Oh man!
I gotta build a whole new payments integration. Months of my life just flashed before my eyes.
No worries. Look, this is no code payment.
This is insane. Okay. Hold on 1 minute. Let me fix this really quick. Un momento, por favor, my friends.
No, it's page auction.
Integrate
payments
it's
in
magic.
minutes. Try it now for free.
It's magic!
So, what I'm going to do is, because I opened this in the wrong spot, generally when I do it through my Gmail, we don't get those commercials. Let's try this quick. Sorry, guys. Top 10 ghost videos. So, we were just a little ways in there, so this shouldn't be too bad. Alright. This one now. Sorry, Trizada. Working on it. Yeah, I don't want any more commercials, and sometimes if you get a lot, or I do, I don't know about you. Do you pay for YouTube Premium? Like, I actually was accidentally through my other account, so, and it's ridiculous. Like, it was still playing the commercials. I don't even get it. Anywho's. Let me make sure I'm sharing over here. Okay, I am. Alright, here we go.
This next video was recorded by a man named Javier from Argentina. Javier says that he was worried about his friend Antonio, as he hadn't heard from him in a while. So he drives over to Antonio's house to check up on his friend. Javier bangs on the front door. No one answers. He calls out Antonio's name. Again, no answer. So Javier climbs over the wall into Antonio's backyard and goes to the back door of the house.
What a good friend!
For some reason,
I missed that part last time.
Is open. Fearing the worst, Javier goes inside to investigate. What happens next is downright chilling.
Antonio! Antonio!
I thought that was spackle or something on the floor, but it's just the tiles.
Toño, soy yo. Javier.
It sounded like a door was slammed or a gunshot. That's crazy.
Hey,
loco. Leo. Hey, loco, where are you? Some house layouts like really trip me out. Holy shnikes.
Che, loco, ¿sos vos? Ya fue, boludo. Vine a ver qué onda, ¿cómo andás? ¿Estás bien? Che, loco, si yo salí.
I really should have taken Spanish instead of French in high school. I swear.
¿Escuchan eso?
wonder if the doorknob was hot. Like, why did he look at his hand like that?
What is going on? And he doesn't want any part of it. He decides to just leave the house and call the police. But just as he's about to exit, he hears a strange sound from somewhere behind him. The next 30 seconds are like something right out of a nightmare.
Run, Javier! Ándale. Oh my gosh. Who said his name? I don't think that was his friend's voice. I don't know.
See it? A door swings open.
Did he run? If that was his friend's voice?
And someone or something with glowing eyes seems to peek over the upper glass of the door, 7 feet in the air. Javier has had about enough and just makes a run for it. He says that whoever or whatever this was, it certainly was not his friend Antonio.
That is so creepy.
After calling the police over to the residence, Javier learns that his friend has tragically passed away inside the house, just behind that door that he couldn't open. Javier is so upset and confused by the whole ordeal that he just can't let it go. He decides to return to Antonio's house to search for answers. It did not go well.
Oh, I just got the chills. Oh, dead mouse. The shower.
Escalofrío estar acá, se siente.
Dude, I'm not even there and I got the chills.
Poco pesada, qué sé yo. Mierda. ¿Qué pasó?
¿Qué pasó?
¿Quién anda ahí?
Why is that box up there?
Mierda.
I would have left the residence. I would not hide in the bathroom like something is going to come out the shower or the toilet or... Oh, man. There's no escape.
¡Hola!
¿Todavía?
¿Qué mierda anda ahí la concha de su madre?
I think he's crying. Oh, get the hell out of there, dude. Just go.
Hey,
oh my gosh.
And with that, Javier is done. He leaves the house, and to this day, he claims that he has no explanation for what happened inside.
It's a haunting, dude.
A house without history. A family living in Kansas City, Missouri are away from home one night when their Nest security camera captures something truly bizarre. A shadow-like figure about the height of a child can be seen moving from the upstairs bedroom. The figure doesn't appear to walk or run, but rather float at a high speed before it just disappears into thin air. A small childlike voice can be heard calling out, "Help." The family has never experienced anything paranormal before, so they have no idea just what this could be. The house was only built 15 years ago, and they've searched online. They can't find any strange history about the house or land. So just what is this? Let me know what you think. We need scary videos.
She's like carrying a bowl or something.
Anything that you think would be perfect for the top 5. Send it to us at nukestop5@gmail.com. The uninvited guest. A family on Rote Island in Indonesia are gathered to celebrate a birthday when one of the guests captures something truly chilling on camera.
What the? I guess they didn't like that kid.
A strange uninvited guest can be seen looking into the window, watching the family as they celebrate. Now, without a source, we'll never know exactly what's going on here. So,
somehow
tell me
nourished.
what you think. Okay.
You know how back in the day they used to like lock people in like either basements or attics and even keep them out of family photos and stuff if they were disfigured, if they had mental issues or health issues. Like, it's really sad. Makes me wonder if that's what was going on with this little feller. I don't know. Poor guy, but yeah, he looked like he could use a cheeseburger. Tell you what.
Cave Crisis. Alex Cantrell from the YouTube channel Underground Explorers is invited to explore a cave on his ranch in Texas. But the cave is partially submerged in water, making it very difficult to enter and explore.
Not me,
I'm
Coach.
going to go ahead and say that this video is not exactly anything paranormal, but it is very scary and 100% real. It's especially scary if you're even the slightest bit claustrophobic. Now, in accordance with YouTube guidelines, I want to stress, no one was seriously injured in this video. The following footage was recorded by a professional cave diver. Do not attempt to do this yourself. Alright, so, Alex is joined by a few of his friends as they begin to explore the frightfully small cave.
Alright, who's got the oxygen meter? I don't see that. Look at this. We got an oxygen meter now? So people won't be mad at me? So what all does that
Fancy
show? Carbon
schmancy.
monoxide, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, hydrogen sulfide, and low oxygen. Cool. Everything. Yeah. You got the action adventure twins here helping us out. Because you guys were like, Matt, check the oxygen. Danger level. Breathe on it a little bit.
Danger, Will Robinson.
It is, but I don't better be work well if like the little intake clogs of water. It's gonna be hard to keep that thing out of the water. Alright, let's write it out.
Right away.
Wait, is it beeping already?
Well, see, I immediately dumped it on the water. So, you know.
He should have strapped it to his helmet.
Or the entire cave has bad air.
Yeah.
Get into it.
Strap it to your helmet like a light. No, I think I'd explore a little bit. It's just like, what's down there? And it's such a small space. Oh, it's getting smaller. Smaller and smaller. Hell no.
As they work their way deeper and deeper into the cave, the passageway becomes smaller and more claustrophobic. Eventually, there is barely even room to breathe above the murky water. This is when the exploration goes horribly wrong.
Oh my goodness.
This is where we're at now. Yeah, this is intense.
I love that they're saying this is intense.
Yeah,
that makes me feel good because
This is not intense. This is in caves.
Come into the house, piece of cake. Let's climb it.
No, this is a little rough.
Yeah.
No.
I feel like I'm on my foot. So much water in my ears. Yeah, same. Oh man.
Water my eyes.
Snorkel trash right now. Yeah. Good time.
Just like, I'd rather do that than have my face up to the wall of the cave. And look at all that mud, like kicked to the cave walls. That's insane. Oh no. No, not those.
Are you going, Jacob? Holy
Yeah, you guys should leave right away. Get away from that guy. Just like if somebody is drowning, yes, like try to save them, but be smart about it because those that are drowning will take you down too. It's not like intentional, it's just like fright and fear of like, I'm about to die, I can't breathe, and whatever else is going on. They will take you down. So he did the right thing by just then backing away from that guy, because did you see how he just bulged into him and almost took him out? Like, that was insane. Holy shnikes. And look at how that cave is coated with mud. To me, it seems like this has been under the dirt for so long, and it looked like there was something built there. I don't know if it's an old well or something, but whatever sort of leak that starts, it turns into something massive. And just look at the mud kicked on that. That's insane to me. Anyways, sorry for interrupting.
Alex's friend and fellow cave explorer Jacob is a little further ahead in a part of the cave that is so submerged that there's barely room to breathe. As he ducks under the murky water, Jacob becomes confused and panics, breathing in a mouthful of the dirty water. In a terrified frenzy, he tries to back out of the cave as fast as he can, but he slams into Alex, dragging him underwater too. Luckily, two guys make it out safely, with a few scratches to remind them of the terrifying incident. This video once again goes to show that sometimes people, even your own friends, can be much scarier and more dangerous than anything normal. And I don't know about you, but just watching them in that cramped little tunnel gave me the heebie-jeebies. Now, you can watch this entire exciting cave exploration and many more over on the YouTube channel, Underground Explorers.
Yeah, I'd like to check that out.
In another creepy video shared to TikTok without a source, a man is woken up in the middle of the night by a strange thumping sound coming from under his bed. What happens next is absolutely horrifying.
What the heck, man? No!
The man looks under his bed but sees nothing that could explain the mysterious thumping. But then a horrific thing comes sliding out from under his bed, and the video cuts. Now, I'm in no way claiming that this video is real, but it is definitely very creepy.
Dude, I gotta say, like, that's either like some sort of hybrid alien something or a demon. Like, I don't know. That thing is just creepy looking. If you are listening and you're not watching, go to We Are Paradox Media on YouTube and watch this, because holy shnikes. This whole video has been amazing, really. Good job, Nuke. Nuke's top 5.
And real or not, I'll leave that for you. To decide. The haunted USS Salem. Seth Borden from the YouTube channel Seth and Chase. Josh from Exploring with Josh. And paranormal investigator Stephen Dillon from Haunted Nights. Join.
Okay, I have to interrupt again. Sorry. Did you know that Seth Borden is actually related to Lizzie Borden? That's pretty cool. And Josh talks a lot, so I don't know. Being that this is chopped up, you don't have to listen to a lot of it. But yeah, he's related to Lizzie Borden. That's crazy. And ever since he went to the Lizzie Borden house, I don't know. I think something's attached to him because he's had way more activity since visiting there. Yeah. But like I said, go to Nuke's Top 5 right there and subscribe. 4.13 million subscribers. That's amazing. Good job, Nuke.
Together as they set out to investigate the many reports of paranormal encounters on board the historic Navy cruiser, the USS Salem. Although the USS Salem was never involved in any military combat, it was often used as an emergency relief ship and gave medical aid to horribly injured victims, both civilians and Navy crewmen. It is said that up to 400 people have died on the USS Salem throughout the years, including men, women, and children. Today, the Grand Historic Ship is preserved as a museum in Quincy, Massachusetts. Many visitors and employees claim to have seen or heard paranormal activity while on board the ship. The ship's caretaker, Don, explains to the group of investigators that one very active spirit on the USS Salem is that of an older sailor who they refer to as Chief.
And this is, I think, where the chief hangs out.
You think the chief is here?
Well, I think the chief hangs out here.
Okay.
So you would say that like Chief is the authoritative figure?
I would say the chief is the guardian of the ship. The chief is the man who is concerned with people disrespecting the ship and things of that nature. When the pandemic first started and I started working at home, I let my hair was longer than yours. I mean, it was down to like the middle of my back. And every time I came aboard, the chief would yank my hair.
Oh, man.
Damn it! The guys decide to do an EVP session to try to communicate with the ghost known as the Chief. Their recorder captures some very disturbing responses.
We are something clear as day.
Yeah. That's so vocal too. Yeah.
We are
crazy.
There or here.
It's two syllables.
Yeah. We're there.
We are alive. We are something.
Do we just sit there and try it one more time?
Yeah.
That's Josh. He's reaching.
Yeah. I'm gonna do it again.
We are
something. We can't understand you. Can you repeat yourself? We are what?
Can the chief come down here and talk to us?
Chief, if you're here watching us, can you tell us your name?
He's getting frustrated.
Oh my god, I did it again.
Bro, I don't even want to film like if this is
Another thing, in case you guys don't know, that thing that Josh is holding right there, that is an old recording device that doctors used to use to record things to give to their stenographers or whatnot. This thing costs about $3,000 for this voice recorder, and they quit using it and started using the newer technology because the digital recorders actually don't pick up as much background noise as the old school recorders. So remember that. I actually think I have one floating around. The one that I inherited from Kat when she died. I left at the Grand Imperial Hotel in Silverton, Colorado, and one of my crewmates has it, but nobody will admit to it. And they also have my UV light. I had to buy another one. But yeah, I want one of these recorders. I just can't afford that. But I do think I have an old recorder, like one that you record on tape cassettes, and people are still making those. So I want to go back to that and try that. The only hard part is transferring it to the computer or digital. I guess I'd have to record it on a camera or something, but anyways, let's get back to it. That thing he's holding in his hand, he's very careful with, costs about $3,000 or more.
Oh my god.
Bro, I want to film.
Oh my god.
Oh, we got some. Yeah, I gotta finish. I'm never one to like show up and it's like people until like we leave, but like I just want
Yeah, we want like the raw.
Yeah.
Action video.
we've heard that before.
You've heard them get pissed off like this
The
before?
group believes that they might have made contact with the entity known as the Chief, and it seems that they have really tipped him off. Next, they investigate the mess hall, a large room that is said to be where the Chief appears the most. Using an obelisk device and an EVP recorder, the group questions the spirits that haunt the ship. And this is when things get downright creepy.
Who's following us here? And why are you screaming?
Helpless. They're helpless.
Oh, we're helpless.
It's way worse. Some touch it.
My hair just got touched. I literally just felt my hair get touched.
He said every time you came out here, you got his hair pulled.
My hair was longer than yours. I mean, it was down to my back. And every time I came aboard, the Chief would yank my hair.
If you saw it on camera, but I felt it. Holy shit. Good point. Oh, good point. Flashlights on.
Helpless. They're helpless.
Oh, we're helpless.
Just like what happened to the ship's caretaker Don, something seems to touch Seth's hair. But that's not all they captured. Now, before this next clip, it should be mentioned that the ghost of a young girl and her mother are also said to haunt the USS Salem. When the explorers review their footage, it seems like they might have encountered one of these spirits without even knowing.
Maybe we should. Alice.
Right after we heard a woman's voice.
Did you see it? If you watch closely, you can see a figure that looks like a girl in a long skirt walking in the background.
Alice? She's walking around. That's weird. Oh. She's wearing like a white skirt and either a jacket or a dark top.
With the Chief, did the Chief make contact with Seth?
Who the heck is Alice? I wonder if she used to work there.
Women who haunt the ship. I leave it up to you to decide. You can watch this entire investigation over on the YouTube channels Seth and Che, Exploring with Josh, and Haunted Night. The waiting room. Trixie Joy Velasco from Davao, Philippines is in the hospital giving birth to her daughter. Her fiancé David is waiting in an empty hospital ward nearby. While waiting, he sees something that sends a chill down his spine.
What the?
There's no one in the room, but as David looks under the bed, two legs can be standing at the other side of the room.
That is so creepy.
Looks up and again. There's no one
down
there.
again, just to see, like, is she ducking?
Pretty freaked out. So did he accidentally capture evidence of the paranormal, or just who or what do these legs belong to?
Look like a man.
Lorelai Gonzalez from La Paz, Uruguay says that the 10-year-old daughter of one of her family members recorded a very creepy video while she was playing in her bedroom. The young girl is proudly showing off her brand new kitchen playset to the camera when suddenly she gets the scare of a lifetime.
Dos tenedores así, uno rosita, igual que el cuchillo al principio, no sé si lo mostré al principio, y este tenedor amarillo. Está cayendo todo. Perdón, se me está cayendo todo. Dos cuchillos amarillos iguales.
Two knives, yes, they're both yellow.
Esta tacita rosita y esta tacita como fucsia. Huevo. Sí.
Oh no. Run, girl, run!
A creepy little doll seems to push over a plastic cup. The girl is a little confused but shrugs it off and continues showing her playset. Then the doll's arm lifts up and falls back down all on its own. The girl makes a run for her camera, yelling for mama. According to Lorelai, the video was recorded years ago and the girl is now 14 years old. But she is still freaked out by this whole incident. has no idea how the doll could by itself, so this creepy recording remains a mystery to this day.
I wonder if they got rid of the doll.
Off the wall. Six months ago, Reddit user AMRV5 moved into an old apartment along with her 2 roommates. Since then, posters, pictures, and basically anything they hang on their walls will frequently just fall to the floor for unknown reasons. This has happened so often that the 3 roommates are starting to get a bit freaked out. One night, Reddit user AMRV5 is all alone in her apartment. Something happens that is truly bizarre.
It's moving. So for those that can't see, there's a picture on the wall that's moving, and now her desk just turned
back and forth on its own. Then the desk chair slowly moves to face her. The video cuts out there because Reddit user AMRV5 is so terrified that she hurries off to the kitchen to wait for her roommates to come home. Now, after posting her video to Reddit, shocked viewers ask if there might be a more logical explanation. For example, maybe the air vent above the picture is simply causing a draft. So AMRV5 explains that her thermostat is set to turn the heat on at around 4 p.m. every day, and that this could possibly cause an air current. So the next day, just before 4 p.m., she grabs her phone and records the vent.
This is our vent test. We've about a minute until the heat's supposed to cycle on. We're gonna see if that does anything.
Some water, girl.
I have to move into the picture frame.
Sounds like you got a bad case of cotton mouth. Or you're really nervous. I don't know. There's something could be clacketing in your mouth. Waiting. What the heck? It was her boot was thrown on the stair. I would not stay up there. Forget about it. It's not like she stomped into her room. I'd be tiptoeing. The picture's off the wall again. The last time did it fall off or did it just tilt?
Come on yet.
While waiting for the heat to come on, there's a loud bang at the door. When AMRV5 goes to check it out, she finds that a shoe has fallen down the steps.
I think something bad happened up there.
This time from inside her apartment. She hurries back in and finds that the picture frame has fallen completely off the wall. So what do you think is going on here? Could Reddit user AMRV5's apartment actually be haunted?
I also have to say, like, when she came around the corner and there was that, it looked like a dark figure when she came around the corner, but it's just her jacket hanging up. But she probably knew that, but that would have freaked me the F out.
I leave it up to you to decide. Bad vibes. Popular Czech ghost hunter Danny Threeman from the YouTube channel TV Twits and his friend Dominic set out to investigate an old abandoned laboratory in the Czech Republic. The building is a source of controversy and tragedy, as unsuspecting employees of the laboratory were forced to undergo horrible experiments to test and study dangerous chemicals. In some cases, these chemicals were fatal. Now, years later, locals claim that the spirit of one of these employees still haunts the building, still afraid and still angry. It's around 4 a.m. when Danny and Dominic find a room with a single bed frame, possibly a bed that belonged to one of the lab employees. They activate their REM pod device and quickly realize that something is not quite right.
That is vibrating a lot. Can you see it? It is moving. Our machine is going crazy. The whole frame is vibrating.
Yes.
Are you kidding me? It moved. It knows we're here. No way. The bed was straight. It's coming to me. Man, brother. Okay, thank you for the sign. So leave it here with us. Should we leave this room and let you have your peace? If yes, try to manifest yourself again. Oh, that bed just moved! Oh god, are you kidding me? Thank you for the sign. We'll leave this room then. We'll leave you in peace. We won't ask any more questions. We don't know what happened to him. We are going away. Oh my goodness! Are you kidding me? It was chasing me. Let's stop, we should leave.
The bed frame seems to vibrate, triggering the REM pod device. Then the bed suddenly moves towards Danny. The two investigators stay calm, but when the bed aggressively slides across the room, they just get out of there. After gathering their courage, they decide to investigate the building's laboratory. This lab was the site of many horrible experiments and tests that were conducted on the building's employees. Danny starts to ask questions to try to get a response from the paranormal presence in the building. For around 20 minutes or so, nothing much happens. But then things take a terrifying turn.
Are you with us? Is there any soul that would like to manifest through any of these devices? We're here just for you, to show us that you're here. Then we'll ask you some questions about why you're here. But honestly, I don't know. It feels like we've been here for about half an hour, between 15 and 20 minutes. The devices haven't shown anything yet. We rearranged things a bit here and to have better energy. Get some feng shui going. Dude, did you see it? What? Look. The chain is moving on. Is it visible? Probably yes. Guys, I think yes. I don't know this. When I try to stabilize it, it's still moving. Did you notice? There's no one here. Oh. Uh-oh. Was it the chair? Yes, it was. Guys, did you see it? Who the F is playing with us? Show yourself. If you're here, it's the machines. Try to move something. Oh, that chair again, bro. I wouldn't mess with it. Let's move away. Check this. I don't know if it's visible. It's moving a lot. Yes, it's visible. Bring the camera closer. It will zoom in so you can see that we aren't moving it. Dude, this is some kind of loophole. I don't understand how it's possible. You know, it's weird. Things moved, but the devices didn't.
A metal chain swings back and forth by itself. A chair moves and vibrates much like the bed frame they discovered earlier. But did you see it? Most terrifying of all, the strange translucent figure of a woman in a dress seems to walk across the hallway. Maybe Twix team doesn't realize what their camera has captured, and even though they're freaked out by the bizarre movement of the chair, they continue to investigate, moving to a new location with an absolutely gruesome past. The incubator room. According to local legend, a man was tied up and tortured to death in the back of this room. As Danny is telling the story, things start to get weird.
They tied him up and then they were punching him, they locked him in one of those incubators. Oh, maybe that's the spirit because I was just talking about it. Screw it. Well, check the door. Do you see it? Are you kidding me? One of the REM pods is still going off. Is this a joke? What the hell is going on? What? I think that maybe the REM pod went off because the temperature is rising. I also think the rope is moving back there. Or is that just my imagination? Do you also see it? I think I'm having hallucinations. No, it's moving for real. Shneesh? Oh no, the door! Just wait a moment. Let's go away. I will try to take out one machine from the suitcase. Oh, bro! We should go. Did you see it? Yes, I did. Let's go home. And the door? Let's go. You have to get out. Dude, you're looking for activity like that. Like, why are you gonna run away? We have never been able to capture something like this before.
TV Twix guys have had enough. The two investigators grabbed their equipment and just head home. So did Danny and Dominic capture proof of the paranormal? Could this be the spirit of one of the employees that suffered horrible experiments here?
Or the wife of one?
Is it all just an elaborate hoax?
Oh my goodness. I don't think it is. I think it's real.
In the garage.
Number
This
11.
next creepy video was reposted to the internet without a source. Allegedly, a woman named Sarah is recording you after she notices strange activity inside her garage. What makes the footage so creepy is that her neighbors are not home. They're away on vacation, leaving both their home and garage completely empty. This is the video.
What the crack? Oh, did you see it? I just saw something right across. Is it peeking out now? No. Oh my gosh, I just saw it run again. It's running back and forth. Reminds me of when I saw the jackal running in the red wine house back and forth in front of the window. Holy shnikes, that is so creepy. Gosh, I'm just sorry. You're just looking at you.
Flickers and something seems to quickly race back and forth inside the garage. Whatever it is, then stops and peeks out at her, staring right at Sarah before quickly disappearing out of sight. Now, without a source, it's impossible to know exactly what's going on here. But whatever this is, moves at a speed that's just a little too fast for a normal human being. So what do you think this is? Let me know.
I think it's freaking
Thanks for watching.
creepy.
If you haven't already, please subscribe and turn on notifications so never miss a video. You can also follow me on the socials and say, hey there, what's up, buddy? Anyway, hope.
Alright, that was Nick. Love that guy. He's awesome. He's got some amazing videos. It just blows me away. Tell you what. That reminds me, I just saw a video the other day of somebody impersonating King of the Hill, and it looked exactly like him in human form, not cartoon form. And he's standing in an alley, and it was just freaking epic, I have to say. Anyways, let me turn this down just a smidge. Thank you guys for joining me this evening on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. It was an honor to have you, and I hope to see you next time, this next weekend, on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. We got Psychic Chris Garcia. He was on this last night, but we got the Paradox Paranormal Forum, Minnesota Girls 420. If you're interested, you can join the forum, because you're always asking for the link to get in to the panel, so that'd be awesome to have you on. If you want to do it, I'd be down. Thank you to all of our friends on We Are Paradox Media's Facebook, KPNL Radio, eTalk Radio, Twitter, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Twitch, YouTube. wherever you listen to your podcasts and wherever else you may be listening beyond the Omniverse tonight. Had a wonderful time. Can't wait to do it again next weekend. We got the crew in. Sometimes we've got a couple people missing. So, oh, somebody just tagged me, sorry. But yeah, it's going to be a good weekend. And after that, we got Miss Lori Fenton coming on the 30th. It's going to be epic. Don't forget, you guys, we are all in this together. Together, we can make the world a little better. And together, my friends, we are Paradox Media. Because without you, there is no us. Until next time, nighty-night, love and light. To all of my peeps out there, I hope you guys stay warm and cozy and safe. And make sure this week you take it a little lighter. Don't work too hard. And I will see you back here. Same crazy time, same crazy place. Nighty-night, love and light.